It was July 11, 2011. I stand in front of an American flag as the GSA officers swearing me in as an Obama appointee to serve on the Vietnam Education Foundation. He asked me to raise my right hand and promise to protect the Constitution of the United States. This is one of the proudest moments in my life. As a former refugee who suffer the wounds of the Vietnam War, I never dreamed that one day I would represent the United States to work on healing the wound of that war. I still remember in 1972, at the height of the Vietnam War, I was about 5 years old. At 5 years old, you might not remember much, but I remember watching TV and saw a little girl my age standing in a food line, and everyone let her go in front of them because her parents and entire family were killed in a bomb shelter. The image of that little girl haunted me. I worried that my parents would die and leave me as an orphan. Every time I had that thought, I would hit myself to knock it out. In December of that year, President Nixon ordered a Christmas bombing. The US dropped over 30,000 tons of bombs in and around Hanoi for 12 straight days. On one of those nights, when we heard the siren, my father grabbed me and my sister. My mother followed from behind, holding my baby brothers. We ran to a basement-like bomb shelter underneath the house. We stood in a foot of water. I felt the mud between my toes. I remember the house shook like a loose tooth above us. The front door slammed back and forth for hours. Every time there's an explosion, I thought the earth gonna swallow us alive. The next morning, a block away from our house, a hospital was destroyed. 1,600 people were killed. Shortly after that, a peace agreement was signed. The bombing stopped. But my childhood is not about the war. I have beautiful memories of Vietnam. And one of those memories was Tet, T-E-T, Lunar New Year. Lunar New Year is like combining Thanksgiving and Christmas into one holiday. That is the only time we could afford to eat chicken, wear new clothes, and I received red envelope with money in it. And my mother also made the special cake called bánh chưng. It has sticky rice, mung bean, and pork belly, and it wrapped in banana leaves. It takes 12 hours to cook. On New Year Eve, my uncles, aunts would come over to our house and stand around a big fires where the bánh chưng was being boiled in a big water tank. The adults were talking, drinking, and laughing. The smell of fresh banana leaf filled the air. My cousin and I lit firecrackers, waiting to welcome the new year. Just 4 years after the Vietnam War ended, there was another war between China and Vietnam. Although my grandparents and parents were born in Vietnam, we don't have a Vietnamese passport. That was when I realized we were considered a Chinese people living in Vietnam because our great-grandfathers came from China. Given the war, we were no longer welcome to live there. In school, a boy called me a Chinese spy and told me, "Go back to China." He punched me really hard every time the teacher was not looking. I was angry because how could I go back to a place that I have never been. At work, my father was demoted. One night, the secret police came to our house looking for criminals fleeing from the South. After this, we didn't feel safe. My parents decided to leave. We left everything behind, including a new house my parents just finished building. Worst of all, we left behind our grandparents, aunts and uncles, and the country we love. First, we headed to China. Then we were on a fishing boat. One night, in the dark, the fishing boat almost crashed into another fishing boat. If that happened, we would all die. Luckily, we made it to Hong Kong refugee camp. For 3 years, I dreamed that one day I would find a place to call home again. Luckily, in 1981, the Mormon Church sponsored us to Utah, where we would resettle and be with our uncles and aunts and grandparents. At 13, I was put in the 7th grade. The first day in school, at lunchtime, I stood outside the glass door looking into the lunchroom, crying, because I didn't know how to ask for a lunch ticket in English. And for the first week, all I could do is put my head down on the desk and cry. No one noticed. While crying, I realized that we almost died in the ocean. And for 3 years, I dreamed that one day I would go to school. And now, all I could do is cry. I realized crying was not the answer. So every night, I sat up with a very thick Vietnamese English Green Dictionary. I look up every word. With the help of teachers and friends, a year later, I became a straight-A student. And Utah started to feel like home. But my parents didn't feel the same. They feel the pressure of being Mormon, even though they would very much appreciate the church. Every week, when the missionary come to our house, my father hide his cigarettes. When my parents argue, my father said, "Why do I come to America if I can't drink and smoke?" A year later, we moved to New York City. We live in a one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. The elevators smell like urine. Drugs were sold in the hallway. Every time my sister and I get into the elevators, we were afraid of being raped. To protect ourselves, we carry around a screwdriver in our backpack. I realized I didn't want to live this life. I didn't want to live in fear. So the only way out of this hell was for me to study, get a scholarship, so that we can move out of the neighborhood. In my high school, there was 1,000 seniors, and there was only one college counselor. To get her attention, I volunteer in her office. Every day, I come to her office to help her reshelve books and file college brochures. Slowly, she started to notice me and asked me about my college plan. She not only helped me, advise me on what college to apply, she also helped me fill out financial aid forms. With her help and other teachers, I got a scholarship to go to Duke University. After Duke, after I graduated, I feel so grateful for having the opportunity, so I wanted to help giving that opportunity to others. So, Asian Foundation, with a total budget of $100 million. In July 2011, I felt like all my hard work was being acknowledged. I'm going back to Vietnam to help the next generation of scientists and engineers. On one of those trips, I landed near Tet. On the street of Hanoi, Tet music was playing. The Tet Flower Market had thousands of kumquat trees and branches of peach blossom. and everyone was busy making bánh chưng. As I was walking down the street, and I noticed where my house used to be. Here I am, representing my adopted country, the United States, to help my birth country, Vietnam. It doesn't matter that my house is no longer there. I feel a sense of purpose. I felt that it doesn't matter that my home is not there, but now I have a sense of purpose, and that makes me feel like home. Thank you very much.